Elias Pettersson just went off. Pettersson went off, man. Oh my goodness. It's a 4-point game for Elias Pettersson. And this was an overall just great performance by the Canucks. I think that this was one of their better games in a while. And there definitely were some shortcomings. I don't think that this game was perfect by any means. But the Vancouver Canucks ultimately win this one 6-4. Let's talk about the 4 first. Yeah, that 4. The Ottawa Senators scored 4 goals in this game, and not all of them were pretty, not all of them were ugly either. And I will say that a lot of these goals had to do with very, just like quick, slight mishaps on the Canucks' behalf that really they could have tightened down and they probably could have avoided if they just were a little bit more careful. And overall, I think if the Canucks play a perfect game, the majority of these goals don't happen. A lot of these goals happen because, Markstrom throws it and it hits the net and it goes to the other guy who's open for the sends and Markstrom is out of position. Or, hey, the puck goes off of Markstrom and Tyler Myers is there and he kicks it in accidentally because it bounces off of him. These goals were goals that you really don't usually see, and it's just kind of whack that they all came in this one game against the Canucks. Sure, they won still, which is great, but some of the goals against were quite ugly, and frankly, I don't think they're really too much to worry about. These are goals that don't happen every day, and thus I don't believe I'm too concerned about that. But let's go over the game. Vancouver wins this one 6-4, 6 total goals scored by the Vancouver Canucks, a ton on the power play. Oh my goodness, the power play went off for Vancouver. 4 power play goals, and we really did get ourselves an opportunity to take a look at what the future has in store for this power play unit. And it all started off in the first period. JT Miller, he gets himself on the board here. It is a goal for the new guy, and this one was a long time coming. Miller looked so good throughout this preseason, and he finally gets one here. Pettersson has it on the far right side. He's in his spot. He sends it wing to Boeser, who's in his spot. And Boeser, he sees the opening. It's Anders Nilsson out in tight. He rips a shot forward. It's intentionally wide. It hits Miller and it goes in. Corey Hirsch had an amazing point on the broadcast here tonight, talking about how Anders Nilsson isn't really a goalie who moves too much when he's facing a shot. He plants himself down, faces the shooter, and takes the shot head on. He doesn't really move too much. So Hirsch was saying on the broadcast that the way to score against Nilsson is to pass the puck around him and find those backdoor openings. And that's what the Canucks did here. As Boeser had it, he shot the puck. It's off of Miller, who's in behind Nilsson, and it goes in. Then, just a few minutes later in the first period, initially on the broadcast they said this was Miller's goal as well, but the play goes as follows. Edler is at the top of the umbrella, high slot, sends it over to Boeser. Boeser is there too, and he sends it over to Petey. Petey waits, Petey takes, the shot goes in. Miller is on the other side of Nilsson this time, and it looks like he gets a piece of it. They were saying that it was Miller's second of the game, with Petey assisting it, but on NHL.com it says that it's Pettersson's goal, and on the broadcast they did say later in the second period that Pettersson got the goal as well. So that's Petey's second of the preseason, first of the game. Boeser has his second assist of the game. Edler has his first point on the night. Then, just a few minutes later, it's Alexander Edler again at the point. He absolutely rips a shot, and it hits something in front. It's an Ottawa player, but ultimately Edler's wrister gets through, and it is a 3-1 game. This one is assisted by Brandon Sutter and Josh Levo. This was an absolute beautiful goal. I just wanted to talk a little bit about Edler. He looked so dangerous today. Maybe that's because he was a little bit more creative, a little bit more flashy on the power play. He passed it to Boeser and Petey a lot, which, if you've been following this channel, you'd know that Edler passing to Boeser was a huge problem 2 seasons ago, because he would never do it, especially on the power play. The first power play was Sedin, Boeser, and then I believe it was Horvat and Edler would never pass it to Boeser. He would only pass it to the Sedins on that right corner, and it would never work. But now in this game, Edler was showing off those passes, flashy dekes to Petey and to Boeser, which was awesome to see. And he looked really lethal when taking his shots too. This shot goes in, and overall, he deserved it. Alexander Edler gets on the board. It's his 2nd point on the night here, and it was pretty. Then going on to the 2nd period, Artem Anisimov gets a crazy goal. He roofs it on the backhand, and when he scored, I was like, what the hell, Artem Anisimov? When the heck did this guy become a Senator? But regardless, Anisimov is an established NHL player, and we all know that he's good, so I wasn't really surprised to see that he brought out the flashy mitts for this one. But later in the period, it's on the power play again. Brock Boeser, he has the puck on the left side. He sends it over to Alexander Edler at the high blue line area, and he sends it over to Petey, who absolutely rips it home. The Petey one-timer, it was so beautiful. He gets a goal over here. His 2nd of the night. Overall, it's his 3rd point of the game. This is Boeser's 3rd assist of the game, and this is Edler's 3rd point on the game as well. These 3, each with 3 points so far, absolutely taking control of this game. Rudolph Balzers gets a goal. That's kind of ugly. Again, bad bounces. But then at the end of the 2nd period, Jordie Benn takes a penalty. It's like 2 minutes and 7 seconds left in the period. Jordie Benn takes a penalty. But the Canucks clear it. And after they clear it, Tyler Myers springs up Jordie Benn, who's right out of the box, and he's got a breakaway. You don't see D-men on the breakaway all too often, but when they do get on that spot, they sometimes score. Usually don't. But Jordie Benn scores here anyway. He rips one on that left blocker side on Anders Nielsen. And it's a pretty good setup from Tyler Myers. Then in the 3rd period, we get ourselves a Chris Tierney goal. And then we get another power play goal. This one actually came before the Tierney goal. It's Pettersson and Edler. They're going back and forth. And then Pettersson holds it. He kind of itches towards the goal line a little bit on that right side. And he shoots it into the slot. Bo Horvat is there, and he just shoots it in 5-hole. Pristine, perfect playmaking set up by Elias Pettersson, and he tried that a few times. Like, we saw Pettersson try to do that exact play several times throughout this game, and it didn't really work all too much. It only worked here when Bo Horvat was the guy in the bumper spot, and the Canucks end things off 6-4. Elias Pettersson had 4 points. Alexander Edler had 4 points. Brock Boeser had 3 assists. And this was just a great showing offensively for the Vancouver Canucks. 21 shots and 6 goals. Crazy stuff right there. Let's go over a few notes here. Elias Pettersson, you don't need me to say it, he looked amazing! He was so good! He was creating offense in the same way that, like, mid-season Elias Pettersson should be creating offense. He came to play today, and it was crazy because it didn't really look like he was giving it his all. Like, I think Pettersson could have taken it up to another gear if he really wanted to, but he kind of settled down and he was like, I'll get 4 points today. That sounds pretty good. Bo Horvat wasn't on the first power play unit the entire game. He was used on that second unit. We had Josh Levo up there in that bumper spot for the first few moments as well, so that was really interesting to see. It'll be interesting to see how the power play distribution goes as the season goes along as well. Alexander Edler, I already talked about it. He looked great. Jacob Markstrom looked pretty alright. There were some moments where he just absolutely brain farted, which led to Ottawa goals. you can understand that those happen, but when Markstrom needed to bail his guys out, I saw him doing that pretty well. He had to do that for Tyler Myers quite a bit. In fact, Tyler Myers, he had some good looks, he had some good drives to the net, but in general, Myers' game wasn't the best today. Corey Hirsch was talking about this too. Myers had a few giveaways here and there. One of them led to a goal early on. One of the pucks went off of him, and it was an own goal by Tyler Myers, which was really ugly to see, but I think Tyler Myers had a pretty good showcase when he did have his moments, but it's just the entire game wasn't a big compilation of moments for him. It was just negative stuff, him giving the puck away. He definitely could have had a better game, but I think he'll have a better game eventually once the season starts. But overall, this was a great, nice one to watch. Lots of power play time, lots of creativity, Petey, Boeser, and Edler getting involved, and it was awesome. Hope you enjoyed this video. So that's 9, and bye.